Peter will take speaker and team hopping panels.
First speaker Taylor Climo, second Peter, I don't know what that was, and third Ham.
My phone's off, so does anyone have a stopwatch?
Yes, yes.
A picture, a watch with the honor of time.
Yes. I have just been awarded the honor of being your teacher this debate, which means that I will show you how many minutes you have left. This is half a minute. This is end of time. This is end of 15 minutes discretion time. Do you want me to show you your minutes? Do you want me to show you all your minutes or no?
Don't for me, yes, please.
Huh?
For me, yes, please. So show your.
Yeah, no. I normally show all the minutes remaining unless you explicitly ask me. No.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
This is your turn?
No, I just know that Taylor doesn't like time.
Oh,
Isn't that the trainer?
other questions? Other questions? Yes, not didn't give me.
Volunteer.
Could we please have the first speaker of Team Affirmative?
Okay, so hello everyone. Now I'd like to start. Anonymous, the self-proclaimed torch barrier of internet freedom, is defended as a bastion for rights and freedom, as much vilified for being a destructive criminal outfit. The truth lies, however, somewhere in between. While my partners and I agree with this statement, we believe that anonymity is more of a hero than a villain. That is why today we stand in firm affirmation of the motion that anonymous posting on the internet should be protected by law. The affirmation's goal is to prove that anonymous posting protected by law has more benefits than negative to win this debate. So before we go into today's debate, we would like to define a few key terms. The most important one is anonymous posting. So the anonymous posting is basically the ability to post a message on the internet without having to disclose a person's identity to the public. So, but however, the company will still have the information and the company can't give this information to the government unless it is somehow illegal. For example, child pornography. So. Now to clear out our model, after the motion has been legitimized and actualized in society, if a private company decides to sell information to the government so that it can track down citizens for no legal reason, then it is not our principle that is wrong, but the companies and the governments. So today we acknowledge that anonymous posting is different from anonymity online. And anonymous posting does not mean that a person must be anonymous all the time he or she is on the internet, but just anonymous when he or she is making an anonymous post. So now to our three main contentions. Our contentions are: the first one is that anonymous posting promotes discourse and advancement in society. The second one is that minorities will be given a voice through anonymity, and the third one is that anonymity takes down oppressive regimes. And one more thing that we wanted to clarify is that anonymous posts do not include instant messaging to be also anonymous. So our first contention is that anonymous posting should be protected by law because it promotes discourse and advancement in society. So anonymity brings society forward because of freedom of speech. Everyone should have the right to freedom of speech without fearing any consequences because they have their own opinion or views. So when all opinions are heard by the society can address their problems, which creates active development in the society. So because anonymity takes away this fear of being caught, it allows individuals to voice their discontent about issues in their society. So when people voice their discontent, problems are brought to attention so that they can be addressed. So, for example, we can look to this in the case of the American Revolution, when Thomas Paine published Common Sense anonymously, which stirred up more patriots and cut the ties with the British. So this allowed the colonists to develop their nation without the restrictions and ruling of the British. So and they were able to develop into the United States of America. So therefore, anonymous posting should be protected by the law because of the discourse created leads to advancements in society. Our second contention is that anonymous posting should be protected by the law because it gives minorities a voice. Minorities feel societal pressures that keep them from speaking out, which would benefit them. For example, Saudi Arabia and Yemen, homosexuality was punishable by death, and in Iraq and the United Arab Emirates, homosexuals faced years in prison. So, a blogger in the Middle East posted anonymously through started an LGBT movement known as the Lebanon Rebel. She stated that she did not speak out until recently because she feared that she would be punished for her sexual orientation. So her blog allowed her to organize meetings with other LGBT activists and voice her opinions, which attracted global attention and gave her and others confidence to share this kind of information. So this shows us the incredible power of anonymous posting, which is why my partners and I are supporting this resolution. Our third contention is that it takes down oppressive regimes. People in oppressive regimes are afraid to speak out against their government when their human rights are abused because they are afraid of being tracked down and punished for posting their thoughts on the internet. Anonymous posting protected by the law will remove this fear from these dissidents, so they can post their opinions and organize protests. According to Richard Fontaine, case studies demonstrate the internet's profound potential as critical tools for organizing protests and spreading information among dissident parties. While experts continue to argue about this precise effect, they agree that social media tools have made revolutions in the Middle East easier and speedier than they would have otherwise been. So it's clear that it is in the nation's best interest to help dispose of those leaders. And as we can see, the internet is a vital tool in making such a change possible. So we have heard three main reasons, but at the same time, three benefits our society will procure when we affirm the motions. The first, society will propel forward through anonymity. The second one is that anonymity provides minorities a voice, and anonymity will undermine oppressive regimes. Thank you.
30 seconds for time. So first, going over your model, what's essentially the difference from status quo?
What do you mean?
What are you people changing?
We are changing that people should have a voice, as we mentioned in our three contentions.
Okay, so then let's move on. But first, let's clarify something. Is homosexuality illegal in certain countries?
Yes.
Is dissent against the government illegal in certain countries?
Depends, yes.
So certain countries are illegal. So, and then if, say, someone badmouthed another person on the internet, so say they posted on my blog, I think you should get raped, is that illegal?
It's not, well, it depends, because if we see something on the internet, not a lot of people actually think that it makes sense, yes, because not a lot of people take it seriously.
Okay. Wait, they don't take it seriously?
Yeah, so they don't consider it that offensive.
Okay then. So then you stated that anonymity is important because, from an example, Thomas Paine actually helped America become where it was.
Yes.
Did they have the internet back in those times?
No, but
Thank
they had anonymity, and that's how it got use of it. So anonymity did make a good change in it, if you can say so.
Okay then. So you've also stated that it was the nation's interest to help revolutionary leaders.
I stated that that anonymous posting can provide with this sort of background, like it can help people voice their own opinions, maybe to create a revolution.
Okay, then is it in the interest of certain governments to keep their power?
Yes.
Okay, and who would exactly, by which laws would we be allowing anonymous posting? Would we have each country have to apply their different laws to anonymous posting to make sure that certain things that are illegal cannot be anonymously posted?
Well, things are all illegal things are illegal in all countries, and
So homosexuality is illegal in all countries?
no, it's not. But if it's illegal in most countries, then that's how it would work.
So it's going to be done by majority?
No.
Then how is this going to work? Each country has a different set of laws. Exactly by whose laws will we be doing it? Will they be doing it differently?
Well, as I said, that all companies would still have this information about anonymous posting, but the companies would not have the right to sell this information to the government unless it's illegal.
So they would be selling the information to the government. And by whose laws would you decide which information is illegal or legal?
By countries' laws.
So in that country, the people within that country get the government
Well, it
of the
depends
people.
what country it is. Yes.
Okay, could you tell us what the difference between the countries are? What countries would be allowed to just simply demand certain things, and what countries would not be? And what's the standards for this?
The standard is that some things are considered illegal internationally. Thank you.
Yes.
That's a case.
We're ready.
Okay. Okay, are my opponents ready? My judges? My team? Okay, thank you. Just as a brief roadmap, I just would like the negative side to state our case, and then I will move on to attacking my opponent's case. As team negative, my team and I firmly negate the resolution. And for these following reasons, we'll show you why that we firmly negate the resolution. As on the negative side, we believe that if we prove that law enforcement is either unnecessary or ineffective, that we should win the debate. First, law enforcement is absolutely ineffective, as many countries do not keep the law and keep breaking it for the government's own sake. Just think about all the corruption that goes on within the boundaries of some states, and there are many countries that keep repeatedly breaking the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, such as the right to free speech. Now, why should we respect this rule if they keep breaking their rules and rights? So, however, a law might be put through, but it would have no use at all because the government itself is not going to follow that law as we've repeatedly observed. They could infringe upon this law as often as they want to, and if they can infringe upon this law as they concede it as wherever the government feels like the laws have been breached, they can easily just, as they even said in their own case, that after the law has been broken, that the government can just breach their right to their anonymity. Moving on. As instead, it would be really deceiving for some people. They might think that just because there's a law now protecting them and protecting their anonymous posting, that they'll be able to go on criticizing their government and their oppressive regimes. However, they will just be put into jail and have their rights be infringed upon there, as we've shown throughout this first point. Simply, a law does not change the system and the way a government works, especially not in those countries that are not democratic, because in those cases, the law is subordinate to the government. So this measure would be absolutely ineffective. Secondly, in the current status quo, you can be anonymous in front of the civil people and in front of the government until they identify you as a terrorist or a criminal. As what they're proposing is the status quo is what we believe is unnecessary. In some countries, your real name is also identified when you are a political dissident. But in this case, that means that the country does not respect the international law and people's rights, then why would it respect other laws that are being put in place as being advocated by Team Negative? Team Affirmative. Oh. As I showed in countries where the government does not respect the law, this law would not make a difference. Now I will show the jury that this law in countries where generally not respected of democratic countries would cause a lot of harm. Moving on to our arguments. Posting online anonymously, protected by law, would give the people the feeling that their identity, unless they do something that is really bad, would never be revealed. Protecting anonymous posting by any other law would make identifying a person even more difficult because of the long bureaucratic process. As a conclusion, people would feel safe bullying other people. As for instance, in teenagers now today in our society, we have always been bullied by someone, physical confrontation. But now we're having this easy anonymous posting that gives a free outlet to cyberbullying. Now this would make would make cyberbullying and people who participate in this not only feel safe because their right is being protected by law, and they would just keep on doing so. Second, the deep web is a collaboration of black market posting on the web anonymously, and now that we are giving a right to protect this. Not only are we giving a right to protect this, but we're protecting this by law, which we've proved in our in our model that this is completely ineffective and is just contradicting what the affirmative side is trying to do. And then third, the false accusations and the lack of accountability is going to completely undermine not only the government that we're trying to follow, but just society as a whole. False accusation would be widespread and people could not trust the internet. It would lose accountability as businesses would post anonymously negative reviews of their competitors, however good they might be. Trolling would also be taken off until then. There would be a retaining force of probability identification, like in the Violent Acres incident, which actually shows what kind of negative effects anonymous internet persons can have. Now moving on to my opponent's case. First, I would like to just go down contention by contention. First, they talk about freedom of speech. Now we're talking... The problem with this is that they conceded in CX that there are some kinds of speech that are actually considered illegal in certain countries. And they also talk about how they also conceded in CX that we are going by the laws of that country inside of the country that people are posting anonymously on. Now, as they said in their second contention also that minorities will now be empowered. But that means we're going off the basis of if I'm a homosexual and I was posting on to the internet about some kind of organization and peaceful protest, not only is me being homosexual illegal in that country, but now I'm talking about it. Technically, if we go with the affirmative side, we are directly giving the government the right to intervene and the right to breach my anonymous posting because I have inherently broke the law in that country. If we go with the affirmative side, we are actually just giving a sense of false security to our dissidents and minorities. So I've showed you that their freedom of speech is not effective in all countries, and I've also shown you that we are actually giving minorities just a false sense of security. And on to their third contention, how we're going to help people in oppressive regimes. People in oppressive regimes, it is illegal to speak out against their government. So why are we passing a law that makes it legal to anonymous posting? So why are we giving that law if it's illegal to do that in the first place? And I've said before, since they are directly breaching the law, if we go with the affirmative side, we are directly giving permission to the government to breach our privacy. And for these reasons, I must urge a negative vote. I now stand for cross-examination. Okay. Do you want me to just is it right here? Okay. Okay.
Under your first contention, what country and what specific law are you talking about?
Our first contention.
Yeah. You said the government won't follow the law. Which government of which country are you talking about?
That's not our first. Just for clarification, that's not our first contention. It's in the first point in our model.
Okay.
Anyways, we're talking about in which countries.
Yeah.
Any countries that make certain parts of speech illegal, which is inherently illegal in
Okay.
all countries.
And then you've stated that democratic countries cause harm. What kind of harm do they cause?
Where did we say that we democratic
In your
countries?
first contention, you said that the democratic countries cause harm.
No, I didn't say that. I said where law. Do you want me to read from my case? Do
So
want me
you
to
didn't
read?
say that.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay,
Democratic
thank you.
countries
Then
cause
we would
harm.
like to move on.
Okay.
So you've stated that freedom of speech is unnecessary. Is that true?
No, we did not state that.
You've stated that to rebut our first contention, that freedom of speech is unnecessary.
No, we're saying as a rebuttal into your first. No, we're saying how you are not giving freedom of speech.
We're not giving freedom of speech?
Yes.
How is that?
Because you are giving people the right to talk, but you're not giving people the right to what they're saying.
When you say something, don't you have the right to that? I mean, you have right to say, but then you don't have the right to say, the right to what
No,
you
what
say.
I said is basically you're advocating.
Okay,
that,
we would like to move on.
Okay.
So you've stated the oppressive regimes are very hard to change, right?
Yes, if we go with team.
So you think every change, do you think every change was made without a conflict? So say that, so we live in a world where there is no racial discrimination. Do you think that's a better world than a world where there is racial discrimination?
Yes.
Do you not believe that a conflict must be made so that we can live in a better world? So as an example, in the 1950s in the United States,
you want me to answer that
there was racial discrimination. But then the black people felt so that we
Okay.
started.
So,
So-
are you saying that?
You can't ask me a question. And our question is that
Do you want me to answer
our
your, can I
question.
answer your
So
question?
our question is that oppressive regimes may be hard to change, but then if we keep fighting and if we if we fight in a conflict, then don't you think that that conflict will lead to a better world?
Okay. First of all, we have to realize at what cost of life that we're going to go through to not only win that conflict, but also we have to.
No matter how long it takes, and no matter.
Okay, so no matter how long it takes, and no matter how many lives we lose due to.
Yeah, because if we don't change anything, then many people will die, or like more people will die.
You just said that we could fight forever. Okay.
You guys want to break down?
Yes, please. Start prep time. I'd like to thank my opponents for their speech first, and then I'd like to move on to their case and then defend our own. For their first point, they said that, their point in their model, I guess, is that law enforcement is unnecessary and illegitimate. And they said that governments don't follow their laws, and we can see this in, well, they didn't really specify countries. They said that all countries don't follow their laws and that they break them. But as we can see, countries do follow their laws. We can look to this in the case of say the United States or the UK or Ireland. They do follow their laws. And if countries did not follow their laws, then why would we have governments? We have governments for a reason, because they do follow their laws and they're there to enforce them. And by illegal, we mean universally condemned illegal things, such as child pornography, which would not be protected in this law. And they said that democratic countries cause harm, but they did not specify what exact harm. And if they're referring to the harm that's caused by revolutions,
and the cost of lives that we have to spend there. Well, when comparing the cost of lives, it is very unfortunate that we have to lose lives in revolutions. But when we don't do anything and we sit around, we're allowing those people in those repressive regimes to continue being oppressed and continue being killed for the reasons that their country decides to kill them. And they also talked about cyberbullying, and this is a free outlet, and that more people will cyberbully, and that we will be protecting them. But we never said that we're taking away the individual's ability on the social media site to block a person. If someone is harassing me on the internet and they're bullying me on the internet, then I have the ability to block them and to stop that hate from coming towards me. And when it is anonymous, yes, you can do it, but you can still block the user. You don't have to continuously deal with the cyberbullying. And they also said that it allows for false accusations, and they stated an example, but they did not explain clearly about this example and how the internet was part of it. They just said, oh, here's an example, and that was false accusation. But we can see that companies, well, there wouldn't be a point for them to use, there wouldn't be a point for them to use this anonymity for their use. They already have advertisements that are on these social media sites and on the television, so there isn't a need for them to go around putting false accusations on the internet. Not to defend ourselves. They said that it promotes for our first point, we said that anonymity will promote discourse and advancement in society. And we're not sure about the exact rebuttal that they had against that, but they did kind of connect that to our third point about the taking down oppressive regimes, and they talked about the cost of life. But as I said before, we need some struggle before we can get to the solution. For example, as my partner stated, in the civil rights movement, people did have to come out and say that they believe that it was wrong that we were being prejudiced, and they had to speak out and start the discourse in order for us to have the equality that we have today. And we also said that minorities will be given a voice, and they said that it is giving the government the ability to directly intervene. But once again, it is not going to be illegal for these people to to express their opinions and their discontent with the government, but it will be illegal for child pornographers and things that are universally condemned, as we said. And they said that it creates a false sense of security for minorities, but once again, because they will be protected by this law, and because it will not be illegal to use the freedom of speech, these people will be protected. And for our third contention, for taking down the oppressive regimes, once again, they do talk about lives and how people will be killed in it, but we do need some kind of discourse to happen, and so that we can reach these better places. And when these people have the right to this speech that they would usually not have, it allows them to collect in groups and start the opposition that will lead them out of the control of these oppressive regimes and move them into a better situation, as we can see in situations such as the Arab Springs or in the Philippines or Vietnam. And as we've shown that protecting anonymity by the law has more benefits than negatives, and that my opponent's case does not has been based on misunderstanding, we would strongly urge an affirmative vote. Thank you.
Can you press that?
Yeah, please.
Yes, so. So, do you believe in the absolute 100% like total protection of the freedom of speech, the right to freedom of speech?
We believe that freedom of speech has its
Well,
limits.
that's a yes or no question.
Well, it depends because we believe that freedom of speech does have its limits. Like hate speech, we don't promote hate speech.
Okay. Moving on. So why don't you promote hate speech?
It's something that's universally condemned, and it's it does not serve society in a better way. And yes,
Okay, so basically because it's illegal, correct?
yes, because it is universally
Okay, so
frowned
it's
upon.
universally considered illegal. What about other laws that are not universally considered illegal? Being gay.
Could you specify?
Well, okay, there's homosexuality, there's
They'd be
dissent
protected.
of the country.
They'd be protected.
They would be protected by the
Yes.
law of their own country.
Well, it's protected by this law that we are enabling to protect anonymity online, or anonymous posting
Okay,
online.
okay. Okay, so, but who is going to interfere with these people who, well, these oppressive regimes that are infringing the rights of their people? Who's going to protect them?
I don't understand what that has to do with the resolution. We're talking about posting.
Okay.
on-
It has direct relevance with the resolution because, as we've stated in our entire model, that these countries are infringing the rights of their own people. So, who is going to stop these oppressive regimes from infringing the rights upon their people?
We're not saying that we're going to stop them. We're saying that we're going to.
So
give
you're
the
not
people-
going to stop
No,
them?
we're saying we're not going to directly stop them. We're going to give the people the ability to stop them and to join and.
The
go
ability
against
to stop them. So no action is being taken.
Well, our actions being taken is protecting.
Okay,
the
so
anonymity
no action is being
posting.
taken. Okay, so okay, so when you're talking in your third contention, you talk about how minorities are being empowered, correct?
Yes.
And they're being empowered because an individual can post anonymously on the internet, right? And on this anonymous post, would they admit that they're homosexual in this anonymous post?
Yes.
So in a case where anonymous posting is illegal and I'm putting my name out there, would I be persecuted as an individual?
Well, if you're putting your name out there, that's not anonymous.
No, that's the question. Like if I were to say me, Taylor Climo, as a homosexual individual, blah 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 blah, like my XYZ complaint, would I be persecuted as an individual?
That's not anonymous. So yes.
No, but would I be persecuted as an individual? It's a yes or no question.
Well, would you? I
No, it's a
don't
yes or no
understand.
question.
Sorry, I don't understand though what that has to do with this anonymous posting. 'Cause
Okay,
you put
because
your-
if I'm going to post anonymously as a gay person, that does not empower my right as a minority because now my entire group is being persecuted rather than
But,
just me as an
sorry,
individual.
I still don't understand why, if you're asking me about anonymous posting, you're
Okay.
putting your name
Okay,
on the post.
it's okay.
You guys want them?
Okay, so as the second negative speaker, I'm gonna go all through their points. I'm gonna provide a rebuttal. So first, they said that what they are proposing is promoting civil discourse. Actually, we do believe that restricting anonymity will improve civil dialogue because it will help cut down on types of mean-spirited and baseless political attacks that add nothing to the real debate and merely seek to falsely tarnish the opponent's reputation by using the anonymity of the web. So it's basically saying that we just want to make it improves civil dialogue because a lot of shit will disappear from the internet, and that is really important. So I think that is a good rebuttal to their first point because it actually does not promote. So what they are promoting is not improving civil discourse as a turnover, but we are proposing restricting anonymity is what improves civil dialogue. And the second point is the minority. So they said that minority would have the voice to say what, I don't know, I'm homosexual or things like that. But then they said that in some countries it is illegal to be homosexual. In some countries it is illegal to speak against the government. And they say that they want to only prosecute those people who do something against the law. So my question is, and there is a big contradiction in your case, then you said that you are promoting free speech. You said that you are promoting, I don't know, things that are considered to be minor and minority, like homosexual and stuff. But then you said you would prosecute them if they do something against the law. And we are saying that in some countries it is against the law to be homosexual. It is against the law to speak against the government. So I just don't understand how in these countries what you're proposing is helping those people living in the countries. And their third point was it undermined oppressive regime. Well, I think it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same as their first point. So free speech, and they said that it undermines oppressive regime because of free speech. But as we managed to point it out, actually they're not promoting free speech because in a lot of countries where it is an issue, it is also in the law that you shouldn't speak against the government. And if it is in the law, they will prosecute the people who are speaking against the government. So it's not free speech. And and one more important point, so in the cross-ex section, it is also even worse, because let's say I'm living in a country where homosexuality is illegal, and I want to, as a minority, I want to speak my own voice, and I'm just saying that, okay, I'm a homosexual, and a lot of people like it, and then all the people who like it will be prosecuted by the government because they are doing something against the law. So actually, voicing minority opinion is even making it worse, because even more people will be persecuted. And the other thing is that just because a lot of people are anonymous and their names are hidden, what about IP addresses? Governments still know their IP addresses, and because of IP addresses, government can track down those people. So actually, what they are proposing is unnecessary and ineffective. And now the third point, why it is harmful. It is harmful because they mentioned this bullying thing. A lot of suicide has recently happened. And then they said that, okay, we can block some people, but not on ask.fm. So for example, on ask.fm, there was a case, I think in Norway, where a girl killed herself just because this ask.fm thing. And even you are banned, actually in ask.fm it is not possible to ban somebody, but even if it was possible to ban somebody, then because of anonymity, he or she could create another account and keep on and bullying me. And if I ban that account, then he could create another account and just bullying me, and so on. Our second argument why it is harmful is the deep web. And now I would like to read out the research. So it says that the deep web includes mass sharing of copyrighted materials, exchange of sensitive intelligence, and even worse, assassinations requests, online trading of drugs and weapons, know-hows on making explosive bombs and other downright illegal materials, and data are there not to mention. The most dangerous part of the deep web is that its users are completely anonymous, and that's what they propose, ladies and gentlemen. They propose that deep web should be protected, and just because of what I read, I think it's absolutely crazy. And our third point was that false accusation, and yeah, it would still be going on ruining innocent people's life, because just some loose bastard said that they are crazy, they are, I don't know. So all false accusation is a really important issue because you can ruin business and innocent people. And just to close my speech, even Mark Zuckerberg's sister is with us. She says people behave a lot better when they have their real names down. I think people hide behind anonymity and they feel like they can say whatever they want behind closed doors. So, as Mark Zuckerberg's sister will do, please vote opposition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do this first. Start prep time.
Okay, so my first question is, do you know how many countries illegalize homosexuality or free speech? Freedom of speech?
Yeah, you were talking about oppressive regimes, and I think most of the oppressive regimes have it in their constitution that speaking against the government is illegal. So you wouldn't help actually people who are living in oppressive
What
regimes.
about-
And as the first speaker said, in democracies it wouldn't make a
Okay,
difference.
thank you. And what about homosexuality?
Homosexuality, for example, homosexuality is illegal in Russia.
And that's it.
Oh no, in other countries as well.
Like,
But yes,
are there a lot of them?
yeah, quite a lot of them. Yeah.
But can you name any of them? No.
Oh, I don't have research, but do you have research? So I think in
Okay.
most
okay,
countries it's a
yes,
big
yes.
issue when
Okay, so,
homosexuality is made
okay,
legal.
So based on that, are there more countries that outlaw homosexuality and free speech than countries that do not?
Well, you just told us that it is good to promoting free speech in oppressive regimes. And then we said that in oppressive regimes, it is illegal to speak against the government. So I just proved that what you're proposing, it just makes no difference. So I just don't get your question. I mean, even if there are more countries in which it is legal to speak against the government, they are democratic countries, and in the status quo, people can do the same. So what you're proposing is unnecessary. And in oppressive regimes, it is ineffective just because of the fact that
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
it's against the
And,
law.
yes, and when regarding to your speech, do you have a choice to use, for example, Ask a Fan, or is it your choice to use Formspring or Ask a Fan, or
Well,
to
basically,
continue using
I mean, because of the peer pressure, and a lot of people use Ask.fm, it's not cool not to use it. So basically, if you're in a peer group and all of the members use Ask.fm, you don't have a choice because you need to use it because other people are talking about it and stuff. So you don't really have a choice. Yeah, unless
So
you
you're
are
defining-
ostracized from
you're
society.
defining cool as not having a choice.
Just think about the brain of the teenagers. If all of my friends are using Ask.fm, obviously I want to use them because otherwise I'm ostracized from the society.
Okay, so do all people have human rights?
All people have human rights. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. All people have them. Yeah.
All human. That means that minorities such as LGBTs also have those rights, correct?
Yes, correct. But then go on and talk with the governments of repressive regimes.
Yes,
and talk
and
with the
that-
governments in those countries where it is illegal. Because what you're proposing won't solve the problem. It would
Yes,
solve the
but-
problem
okay,
if
thank
in
you.
the
Okay,
legislation
thank you.
of those
Yes,
countries
and
it
I-
would be changed.
Yes, and I'm saying that they also have the right to express their own opinions, right? If all people have human rights.
I think they have.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
You have, you've used up a little over 2 minutes, so you have a little under 6.
Okay, thank you.
You have 5:52.
Thank you.
gone, you have 2 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Thank you.
Sorry, 2 minutes. You have 2 more minutes.
Okay, thank you.
minute left. Thank you. Time.
Thank you.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? Okay. So, honorable judges, so we have opponents that want to live in a world where it is legitimate for oppressive regimes to kill their citizens, but then it is legitimate because they can't make a change. It is too lazy to make a change. However, we believe that that is not a world that we want to live in. We believe that we want to live in a world where we have to make a change, where we have to go through a conflict in order to live in a better world, as we have seen in the second cross-examination, where we talked about how in the United States in the 1950s, we've actually gone through a revolution in order to make a better world. So we would like to say that first, to clarify, we're protecting people who speak out because freedom of speech is a right all people have, and freedom of speech is not universally condemned. So we like to say that, honorable judges, you have to remember that. So we like to go through our opponents' contentions and go through the main themes of today's debate. So we like to touch upon their first contention, which is that it is unnecessary and illegitimate. But there is no anarchy today everywhere, so the government is doing its job in following laws. We see crimes going on in the streets. We can't say that we have absolute control over those crimes. So we like to say that their first contention actually false. And their second contention is that cyberbullying will be caused by anonymity, but we would like to say that it's also the user's choice to use this Ask FM site, and we already say that you have control over stopping the cyberbullying, and you don't have to use the sites such as Ask FM. And their reasoning is that peer pressure causes these suicides, which does not make sense. So we would like to say that this point actually false. And their last contention was about false accusation, and we have repeatedly asked them to give us an example or a case study supporting their third contention, but because we have seen no significance and clarification of this contention, we just would like to disregard it. And we like to go through the main themes of today's debate and explain why we have won today's debate. So the first theme is fear. So we can see two kinds of fear in today's debate. The first kind of fear is fear of the public. We believe that this pertains to minority groups such as LGBT and dissidents. We could see that they have fear to the public. Also, we believe that the second kind of fear that these people, general citizens have, is fear of the government. However, we believe we can ensure that all of these kinds of fear will be taken away through anonymity, because we believe that anonymity is an opportunity that will give them a voice. We believe that anonymity will actually allow them to speak out, because we believe that these kinds of fear will be taken away. We believe that from today's society, we believe that a conflict is actually needed, and we see that a change in today's debate is anonymity. We would like to move on to our second contention and explain why society welfare will happen. So we believe that it'll advance the society and it'll promote discourse in a society. So as we have already mentioned, conflict is needed in order to make a change, in order to make a revolution. We believe that in the United States, which is our example for this, 1950s, black people revolted against revolted against the U.S. government to make a change, and because they wanted to live in a better world where they can be treated like white people. We believe that that is legitimate because it is legitimate, just like giving a voice to the people in the status quo. We believe that because it was legitimate, it actually was able to come to become a reality, and because they revolted against the government, which was a change, we believe that they could live in a better world. We believe that societal welfare is, in the same sense, it'll actually happen in our status quo. So our last theme is free speech. So we have already shown you that how we're protecting people who speak out, because freedom of speech is a right that all people already have since their birth. We believe that since everyone is born to life, we have a right called free speech. However, what we're trying to say today, honorable judges, is that we'll strengthen this right by taking away their fear of the government and public. We believe that because all people have this right, by strengthening this right, we will be able to take down oppressive regimes, and as we already have explained to you why oppressive regimes must and will change if we make a change with the conflict. We believe that all people will have a strengthened right of freedom of speech. So because of all these reasons, we believe that anonymity must and will be imposed. Thank you.
Time, please. You've got 3 minutes, 30 seconds left. Time. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. You have 45 seconds. 30 minutes. 45 seconds. No, it's not for real. Thank you.
So final speaker for both opposition and this debate. I'd like to clear up everything and then just show you the main themes that's come up in this debate and explain to you why we're extremely proud to represent side opposition. Right, so let's first go over the main thing. So our affirmative team is completely daydreaming. Okay, they have given us a proposal that's actually not giving us any change. We think that, well, that's pretty much what happened to status quo. When you condemn something illegal like child porn, that's pretty much what everyone's doing right now. We see absolutely no change. So first, let's go over the two main themes of the debate, which was about the oppressive regimes and what internet anonymity should or would do in these cases, and also about the minorities and harassments regarding them. So oppressive regimes. First of all, let's go over the two things. First, their model was a bit unclear. So we said, hey, but it's their laws. If they decide what's illegal and what's not, then what's the difference? They're still going to be hunted down. They're still going to be killed for saying what they wanted. So then they said, oh no, that's not what's going to happen at all. What's going to happen is it's only going to be the internationally condemned things that's going to be judged. You're only going to be hunted down so if you post child pornography. Well, that's lovely, but that's exactly what's happening right now. Second of all, so what's the difference then? Well, we never got an answer. Not only that, but this anonymous thing doesn't protect them from the oppressive regimes at all. There's still fear. That fear point, okay, they still fear the government. They can still be fined, they can still be imprisoned, they can still be beaten, they can still even be killed for being a homosexual. They can still be killed for dissenting against the government. There's still fear of that because the law of the government is still there. And a human rights declaration actually does say that they won't be able to interfere properly with the laws of that certain sovereign. So yes, law is important, but in the end, their proposal is essentially a lovely daydream. It's not really going to happen the way they want it to. The government can still track you down. They can either demand it from the companies or they can get it from the IP addresses. Because guess what? Our side, affirmative, never actually showed how you were going to protect that right. How you were going to protect those people from being hunted down even when they're anonymous. So the oppressive regimes, they're really not going to change that much. Not only that, but our opponents also gave us several examples of how there were revolutions with anonymity. They gave us the 1950 revolution. First of all, that didn't have anything to do with being anonymous. Second of all, they actually just proved that even without the internet, you can still make change. So since we can make change without it, we see absolutely no reason why internet anonymity has to be protected by law like our affirmative stance. So that's great. That's great about the oppressive regimes. Let's move on now. Let's move on to harassing minorities. Let's move on to protecting their rights. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. That's great. Let's face it, there's still places where it's illegal. Yes, there are more countries where it's legal now, but that doesn't change the fact that those countries and those laws still exist. We believe that one country that actually thinks being homosexual is illegal is too many. So we say that's actually bad. Not only that, but we don't believe that this will change it at all. Rather, if you're anonymous, they have no choice but to judge the whole lot of you as the exact same. So if one gay person says, hey, I think we deserve rights because, being gay isn't that different and I'm not the spawn of the devil. Lots of people will probably think, I don't know who this gay guy is, therefore I should judge everyone the same. What does that mean? It means more minorities get oppressed. They never once rebutted this. We don't understand how they're going to protect minority rights if, in the end, all you do is just condemn the whole lot of the minority right into hate. So that's great, but okay, so these minorities could not only get tracked down, but they're still illegal in certain states. They never once shown us how they are going to protect those people, and by that they are going to link it back to their main argument, which was that there's going to be benefits. We see no benefits. Rather, we see harms with the affirmative cases. Okay, so let's move on to just one last thing, which is harassment. They say that essentially cyberbullying, okay, yeah, sure, there are people killing themselves. Sure, you can just make another account, you don't have to make those accounts, you can ignore those sites, you can block those people. All absolutely wonderful things. That doesn't change the fact that it doesn't happen. Peer pressure, it's actually a really, really great pressure. If more people have these sites, they're going to go on those sites. And that's why those people are getting pressure. Not only that, but if more people are actually bullying you, there's a greater chance you're going to get even more bullied. Can you block those things? Sure you can. They can create just another account just as easily. Those people want you to make accounts just as easily. They just keep letting you make accounts. You just keep bullying these people. Eventually these people jump off cliffs, hang themselves in their bedrooms and let their sisters find them, or swallow pills. We don't think this is a good thing at all. We see this as an extreme harm. We don't think legalizing anonymity will help. Rather, we think this will worsen the situation because, like we stated, allowing anonymity just gives these people free rein. They just let them go, hey, you know what, we have free speech, we have anonymity, let's go do whatever the heck we want and troll these people. This is not a benefit. Rather, we see this as an abuse of power. We don't want this kind of abuse of power allowed. And we don't see that freedom of speech will in fact be helped, which was their greatest argument. So we see no benefits from this. We only see the disadvantages. Therefore, harm still stands, and we believe that the negative wins. Thank you.